Color guard, attention. Audience, please rise. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, prepare to post the colors of the United States of America. Color guard, post the colors of the United States of America. Color guard, prepare to post the colors of the state of Ohio, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the Dan Beard Council. Color guard, post the colors of the state of Ohio, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the Dan Beard Council. Scout salute. If not in uniform, place your right hand over your heart. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, reform. Color guard, retreat. Color guard, halt. Color guard, please be dismissed. Audience, please remain standing for the invocation.
Hello, my name is Spencer Gertis, and I invite you to begin our proceedings by joining me in the Camp Freelander Grace. Please prepare yourselves in the manner to which you're accustomed. For food, for friends, and for this place, for all of Scouting, we ask your grace. Through dark of night and light of day, Lord, be with us. This we pray. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, to keep our program moving, please begin to enjoy the salads that are placed at your seats. Lunch will be served during our program. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Robert Taylor, the chair of the Dan Beard Council Board of Directors. Bob is a local Eagle Scout, having earned his Eagle rank in his childhood troop, Troop 436 in Sharonville. Bob is a proud graduate of the Miami University and has spent his entire career in public accounting, including leading the local Cincinnati office of Grant Thornton. Bob recently retired as the National Audit Practice Leader, where he served as the Chief Operating Officer for the U.S. Audit Practice and sat on the firm's partnership board. In 2022, Bob was named a Distinguished Eagle Scout, one of the rarest awards in all of the Boy Scouts of America. It is reserved for those select Eagle Scouts who reach a level of professional eminence in their field. Today, in addition to his volunteer leadership with the Dan Beard Council, Bob sits on the board at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and 2 privately held companies. Please welcome Bob Taylor to the podium.
Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you, Spencer. And on behalf of the board of the Dan Beard Council and the youth and the families that we serve, it's my pleasure to welcome each of you here today. Our Good Scout Award Luncheon serves as an annual celebration of scouting, something that most of us in this room share in common. As an Eagle Scout and chair of the board, I have the opportunity to see the impact that scouting has in our community. I hope that after today, you're able to rekindle some of the excitement that I have for scouting across our region. This is an organization that is unmatched in our community. Our breadth and our depth of leadership training and impact on young people is a tradition that has lasted more than 113 years, and I hope will be around for another 100. Today, it is a delight to introduce you to our MC, our maestro of ceremonies, John Morris Russell, conductor of our own internationally renowned Cincinnati Pops Orchestra. He has led the Pops for the last dozen years and has worked with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra for nearly 25, engaging millions of audiences around town, across our continent, and literally around the world through his musicianship, showmanship, and embrace of every imaginable musical style. Our maestro has been part of 6 albums with the Cincinnati Pops. He also has been collaborated with many of the most important artists around our country, around the world, and across many generations. These include, and this list is endless, literally, but Aretha Franklin, the rapper Common, Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, Amy Grant, and again, the list goes on. But I have to put in my personal plug for my personal favorite, which is around July 4th, when we have the Red, White, and Boom concert. While his name and reputation as a truly gifted artist and leader in our community are known, his connection to scouting may not be. Now, I'll let John tell you more about his experience in just a moment, but I think you will all agree that Eagle Scout, JMR, represents all that scouting can be in our community. And he can tie a bowline knot in under 5 seconds. Now, please join me in welcoming our maestro of ceremonies for the 2023 Good Scout Award Luncheon, John Morris Russell.
Very much, Bob. Hello, everybody. And welcome to the 2023 Good Scout Award Luncheon. Thank you, Spencer, for the invocation and announcements, and thank you to our color guard from Pack 179 and Troop 299. They all looked sharp. Give them a great round of applause, everybody. It is a great pleasure to be here with all of you in support of scouting across Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, and helping pass along the principles of leadership, empathy, respect, and cooperation to our next generation. The challenges we face in our city, our country, and around the planet urgently need the kinds of skills, values, that scouting continues to nurture. Scouting was fundamental in my own life. I was a member of Troop 15 in the Lake Erie Council. Our monthly camping experiences gave me a deep and abiding love of our natural world, as well as organizational and survival skills, including the knowledge of learning how to disappear quickly after blasting the morning revelry on the bugle. Self-discipline, study, and practice that got me to the rank of Eagle Scout helped me throughout my school years and helped lay the groundwork for many opportunities to come. The friendship and fellowship among my scouting peers and parents created a space for positive social interaction that went beyond weekly meetings and activities. I also learned how to tie a couple variations of the bowline. So just to prove myself here, folks, you take it around the tree, it goes back up, and then goes back into the hole. Bam, that's a bowline. But now here's a fantastic variation on the bowline. This is called the dragon bowline. Thanks. That was for all the dads here. Right on. As conductor of the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra and guest conductor with dozens of orchestras across the continent and around the world, I feel fortunate to have had the kind of leadership experience in my youth that has been applicable to just about everything I do, both on the podium and off. To help other people at all times, to keep myself physically fit, as well as mentally and musically aware, and to have a strong moral compass and set a positive example for all those around me. This is how I continue to live Scout loud in everything I do as a leader for positive change, to be committed to our community, and to joyously share in the wonderment of the natural world around us. It is our mission in Scouting to send a clear message of empowerment to our youth, that they can try new things, grow, and yes, fail. And believe me, I've failed plenty of times, but with the opportunity to learn and to overcome. Throughout this event today, you'll hear a lot about I can, so that we can encourage all of our kids to live Scout loud. Check out this video. All right. So is everyone going to live Scout loud? Folks, that was pathetic. Are we ready to live Scout loud? Come on. Let's say it. Live Scout loud. Live Scout loud. There we go. I feel like a preacher. This is fantastic. This afternoon, make sure to post and share your own personal experiences and photos on social media. You can use hashtag Live Scout Loud and also hashtag GSAL2023 in your post. And for all of us old timers, if it's a little tricky for you to put a hashtag embed into a Facebook post, just ask one of the young scouts that are around here. They'll show you how to do it. It's easy. Now, the Good Scout Award Luncheon celebrates the impact of scouting across our region and annually recognizes an outstanding community leader who exemplifies the Scout Oath. Today, we recognize Terence Horan and one of the Cincinnati's most admired companies, Horan. Celebrating its diamond anniversary this year, Horan works with business partners to create plans to control health costs, provide exceptional life insurance, and provide wealth. But the end game at Horan is more than just a set of plans. Horan believes that good health and true wealth create a better quality of life for their clients and families. Over the past 75 years, Horan has been guided by 5 core values: integrity, commitment, accountability, corporate social responsibility, and innovation. We have several leaders from Horan here today, right here, including Terence L. Horan, who has been instrumental in the scouting movement across our region and also serves as president and CEO of Horan. He leads an energetic and focused team to deliver the most current and comprehensive health, wealth, and life services. His passion has always been to help families transition wealth from one generation to the next. Since 1973, he has designed and implemented sophisticated products to actualize that transition. Terry believes one of his most important roles is to ensure that the Horan team has the best tools to improve outcomes for their clients, including, for many years, the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. While I worked with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra as associate conductor during the most recent turn of the century, thank you, I experienced a major health issue that our then health insurance company was balking on covering. Terry gave me a personal call and said, "Don't worry, John. We'll take care of this. You just worry about getting better." And good to his word, his team immediately stepped in and took care of every detail. It literally changed my life. That's Terry. I will always be so very grateful. And Terry and his wife, Christy, have also been amazing supporters in the arts in Cincinnati, helping to make the quality of life here in Cincinnati second to none. Later in the program, we will hear from resilience expert, expedition leader, and New York Times bestselling author, Jim Davidson. Jim will share his gripping adventures from summiting Mount Everest, surviving earthquakes, and escaping alone from within an 80-foot deep glacial crevasse. As a business professional, Jim will reveal practical wisdom about how we can cultivate a resilient mindset, spark resilient teamwork, and amplify resilient leadership. But first, I would like to recognize and thank this year's Good Award Luncheon sponsors, and there are a lot of them, so please hold your applause until the very end. Our platinum sponsor is Horan. Our diamond sponsors, Emeritus, Baker Concrete Construction, Baker Construction Enterprises, FFE Engineering and Architecture, Interlink Cloud Advisors, Steve Korak and Friends, Jack Kreitler, Western and Southern Financial Group. Our gold sponsor, JTM Food Group. Our silver sponsors, Apple Spice, Cincinnati Bulk Terminals, Doug Bolton, First Student, Grant Thornton, Mark Pomeroy, Maxwell C. Weaver Foundation, Tasmanian Freight Systems, and United Healthcare. Please make sure to look at your program to see the full list of sponsors and table captains for today's event. And thank you for each of you for your generous support of Scouting across our region. Great round of applause for all of our sponsors. Thank you so very, very much. Next, we'd like to recognize a group of extraordinary people who have all great supporters of Scouting. So please stand up as I call you out, and again, please, let's hold our applause to the very end. First of all, I'd like to recognize all of our current and former board members of the Dan Beard Council of the Board of Directors. Please stand and remain standing. All of our Board of Directors of the Dan Beard Council. Right on. Now, hold that applause. All of our Eagle Scouts, please stand. Only 4% of Scouts make it to Eagle. All of our Scouts of every rank, Life, Star, First Class, Second Class, Tenderfoot. Come on, Terry. You can stand up for that one there. Live Scout Loud. What was that? Live Scout Loud. All of the parents of Scouts, both past and present. That's a lot of work right there. For everyone who has ever hired a Scout in your business, please stand up. And then everyone who admires Scouting in any way whatsoever, please stand up. Right on. That's everybody. And this is why Scouting is so important. It's the power of positive change. So what I want to do is I want to get a selfie here with all of our Scouts. Live Scout Loud, everybody. Come on. One more time. Come on. Get the hands up. Big selfie. Come on. Live Scout Cincinnati. Hands up. Hands up. Come on. Here we go. Okay. Great job, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right. Woo. Boy, that was a tough selfie. It's kind of awesome to see 700 people getting together and actually all stand up for a selfie. You guys are awesome. There's just no other organization like Scouting that has a unique blend of adventure, leadership, life skills, and friendships. That these are the unique things that Scouting provides. Families join Scouting because parents appreciate what Scouting provides for their sons and daughters. Please enjoy the following video that touches on some of the unique Scouting experiences.
There's no one way to explore the world. My way is to push myself and never take the easy road.
I prefer a road that winds through forests and goes up mountains, because I've always been an adventurer at heart. That's why I can't wait to be a scout.
Because scouting will guide me to great things. It won't just teach me to navigate the woods with confidence, but it'll give me the confidence to navigate the world.
I'll enter the Scouts as the best version of myself today, and will grow into the best version of myself for my future.
Scouting will show me how to use bravery, trustworthiness, loyalty, and kindness to become a person I'm proud to be.
Because there's no one way to explore the world, and my way is in the Scouts. So
scout me in.
Yes, indeed. Now, to provide their personal insights on the benefits of scouting, please welcome Scout Sam Pressman from Troop 299 and Assistant Scoutmaster Josh Katzman. Hey, man. Right on. There we go.
All right. Thank you for having us. My time in scouting has been a wild ride. I've been climbing 1,000 feet in the air, canoeing on the Little Miami, and looking at distant galaxies with my friends. Because I'm a scout, I've had many different experiences in my life than other youth, like hiking beautiful trails, learning how to cook delicious meals and make up our own recipes, and also just being out in the woods and enjoying nature. And I can now make a fire when and wherever I am. And also, finally, Scouts has shown me how to be a leader in my community. From 1st to now 10th grade, being a leader in my community and the opportunities it gave me have led me to being who I am today. From just acting as patrol leader to being senior patrol leader, helping lead my troop is just one step in the rest of my life full of leadership opportunities. To bring it back in, scouting has been a very positive experience for me and can give children the experience of a lifetime. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Live Scout Loud. Come on. Live Scout Loud. Come on. Yes! See, I love the fact that all the things that I was thinking about doing but maybe didn't have the courage to do like our scouts do, JMR came up here as an Eagle Scout and demonstrated and did it. It was amazing. I want to talk to you today a little bit about maybe the things you don't hear as much about scouting. Sam talked to you about gazing at the stars, climbing 1,000 feet. You hear all the time about going to the Philmont Scout Ranch or going to the National Canoe Base up in Minnesota at Northern Tier. But sometimes what you don't see are the things that matter most to us and what makes me so passionate about scouting for our youth and for our communities. As an example, almost a year ago, in the summer of last year, one of our scouts stayed over an extra day at Smoky Mountain National Parks after our troop campout. He and his dad hiked up a 5-mile trail up to the top of a mountain. And about halfway down, they came across 2 individuals that were in distress. One had fallen down 8 feet into an area below and was not able to get out and was immobile. And it was only the 2 of them. There were no cell phone signals to be found. That one scout, his father stayed with the victim. That one scout ran down the rest of the trail 2.5 miles, flagged down a ranger with his arms so that he could get help and medical assistance to the person that needed it. That's living Scout Loud. We had one of our other scouts attend the World Jamboree a few years back over at our scout ranch in Virginia. He shared a story about when they arrived on site, they got their camp set up, their neighbors, and they had neighbors from 112 different countries around the world, came in from Chile. They didn't speak very good English, and they got in too late to be able to get food for dinner. That scout and their friends in their group, in their troop, went and gathered extra food that they had in their campsite, took it over to the Chilean team and their scouts, and cooked dinner for them and ate dinner together. That's living Scout Loud. What's so important about this program for our youth is we are embedding in them ideals and values that extend far beyond their time here in Scouting, such as what was said in the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally safe. The Scout Law, to be trustworthy and loyal and helpful and friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I would argue these are ideals that we should all have, whether we're at home, whether we're at work, or whether we're in our community. This is what we should expect from all of the people around us. And I am proud that this program is instilling the values and the ideals in our youth who later will be the next engineer at Baker Construction, or might be the next doctor at the University of Cincinnati Hospital, or might be with any one of you out there contributing and making your organizations even better than what they are today. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being a part of this. And thanks to all of our scouts and all of the people in the audience who support this program to develop our youth with those ideals and values for the next generation.
One more great round of applause for Sam and Josh. Thank you, guys. That was awesome. And now I would like to introduce Spencer Gertis, who recently achieved the Triple Crown of National High Adventure Awards: Eagle Scout, Venturing Scouts Summit Award, and Sea Scouting Quartermaster Award. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Spencer Gertis. All right. Cheers.
Hello, I'm honored to get to speak before all of you today. I've been involved for Scouting for 16 years, having initially joined as a Tiger Scout and working my way to Eagle, Summit, and Quartermaster. In those years, I've been fortunate enough to truly live Scouting's adventure to the fullest. A lot of what I've done at Scouting are things that many of my friends outside of Scouting will only dream of doing in their lifetime. I flew an airplane for the first time as a Scout for the Aviation Merit Badge. How cool was it going into school the next Monday and telling all my friends what I had done over the weekend? That's kind of the theme of Scouting. What cool thing you did over the weekend? Almost as cool as that, I got to drive a police car with lights and sirens when I was a law enforcement explorer. I pulled over our simulated suspect, which was just our post advisor in his Nissan. It was a slow speed chase, but it was still very fun. My experiences in exploring have inspired me to pursue a career in criminal justice, which is one of the 2 degrees I'm currently pursuing at the University of Cincinnati. I've taken all of the BSA's leadership training courses and have given back to many of those courses by serving on staff for National Youth Leadership Training, Wood Badge, Sea Badge, twice serving as course director for a Kodiak Challenge course, invited to serve as a troop guide and special advisor to the course director and senior patrol leader for the Colonial Virginia Council's first NYLT course in 7 years. And I've been invited by the current National Service Territory 9 Sea Scout Bosun to be the course director for the Michigan Crossroad Council's first ever Sea Scout SEAL training course. I've also had the opportunity to serve as a leader in Scouting. I've served in various area, regional, territory, national, and international positions. Most notably, I served as the inaugural chair of the National Older Youth Programs Outreach Committee and as the first ever National Service Territory 9 Bosun. In that role, I also served on the National Sea Scout Quarterdeck and National Sea Scout Committee, in addition to several of their subcommittees. I've also held numerous positions within my units and within our council. All of these experiences have further developed my leadership skills, but more importantly, they've encouraged me to serve and mentor others. Outside of Scouting, I've taken what I've learned to help others and improve groups and develop others into leaders. For example, I was selected to be president of the University of Cincinnati's Honor Society and immediately got to work implementing a servant leadership model, teaching through the EDGE method, examining the stages of team development, and other skills that I've learned through Scouting. At the University of Cincinnati's chapter of Alpha Phi Omega, the official co-ed service fraternity of the BSA, I introduced materials from the BSA's Introduction to Leadership Skills courses. Inside of Scouting, I've used what I've learned to teach skills to fellow Scouts and Scouters, which is always a rewarding experience. But the most rewarding experience I've ever had was at the Scout Reach Challenge Camp last year. At Scout Reach, I got to teach inner city youth how to fish, lead them on hikes, and open their eyes to experiences they've never had. I was brought to tears when a little girl caught her first fish and was so thankful that I had taught her how to do it. I remember I was much younger than her when I caught my first fish, and it made me grateful for the experiences and opportunities with which I was provided. This resonated a belief within me that Scouting is an experience that we need to bring to everyone of all walks of life, from all socioeconomic backgrounds, and that every youth should have the opportunity to spend time outdoors and in Scouting. I encourage anyone who has the time to join me in July once more for Scout Reach Challenge Camp this summer. I've also had the opportunity to travel across the country and meet many fellow Scouts and Scouters. I went to NAIL, or National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience, at the Summit High Adventure Base in 2019, and my crew became a long-distance Scouting family. We still have regular crew calls 4 years later, and we've even gone to each other's states to visit. In 2021 alone, I traveled to 15 states just for Scouting, meeting and making many friends. But not only have I made friends across this country, I've also made friends across the world. I'm in the BSA's International Department and represent the Boy Scouts of America globally. I was a delegate to the Inter-American Region Youth Forum hosted in Panama and was invited to the Inter-American Region Conference in Paraguay. This was so humbling and such a rewarding experience to see Scouting in other countries and to learn from those Scouts and Scouters. While I've now aged out, with Scouting, I haven't stopped. Now I mentor Scouts and help them grow. Instead of leading the adventure, I will be coaching Scouts to become the leaders of their own adventures. By coming here today, by supporting Scouting, you are helping to propel the greatest youth movement in the history of the world. I have hiked to the top of Mount Baldy at Philmont to see a magnificent view that pictures can't do justice. I've sailed the Florida Keys and dove into the beautiful coral reefs at Sea Base. And I've soared over green trees and crystal clear waters on the Big Zip at the Summit Bechtel Reserve. These life-changing experiences and others are made possible by people like each and every one of you. Because of you, at future Good Scout luncheons, there will be Scouts with bigger and better stories than mine. I can't wait to see what those young men and young women will accomplish because of your support. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do for Scouting. So now that you've heard that awesome story, you see that Scouting has impacted a big part of my success, and to date has helped me create a pathway to more future success later on. It would not have happened without the support for Scouting from people like you. Because of you, Scouts like me and more than the 12,000 other young people in our area are impacted in a positive way. If you have already donated, thank you very much. If you have not had the opportunity to support the boys and girls of the Danbury Council, please consider doing so at this time. There are pledge cards at your table, and your financial investment will allow Scouting to remain strong and provide other youth with the same opportunities that I've had. As I go forward in life, I know that my experience in Scouting has prepared me for anything. Thank you for making an investment in my future and the future of all Scouts in the greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area.
Right on, Spencer. Thank you very, very much. I've just been giving some thrilling news today that Terry and Christy Horan have just this morning have donated an additional $25,000 to encourage everyone here to go above and beyond today. Spectacular. Thank you both. Now, many of you are joining us today at a table sponsored by a company. We greatly appreciate your sponsorship. Others are here because your table captain asked you gently to attend. In both cases, the Dan Beard Council is grateful for your support. This event is the single largest fundraiser for scouting in our region and represents nearly 1/4 of Dan Beard Council's annual campaign. If you're interested in making or increasing your personal contribution, please take a moment now to fill out one of the pledge cards on your table. Follow Terry and Christy's lead to go above and beyond to support scouting and everything it represents that is good and true in our community. Thank you so very, very much, you two. At the end of today's program, we will be announcing the total support raised from this year's event. While you're filling out your pledge cards, please enjoy this short video. The Dan Beard Council's vision is to develop young adults who are exceptionally prepared to lead in their own way and to make a positive impact in their personal lives, professions, and communities throughout their lifetime. To thrive, today's youth need more than nuanced skills, more focused education, and even more practical experience than in previous generations. At the same time, the pitfalls of societal changes and challenges have become more profound. Our young people need the positive and supporting scouting experience more than ever. Here to tell us more about recent achievements and the vision for the Dan Beard Council is Scout Executive and CEO Andy Zahn. Andy is responsible for providing leadership and strategic initiatives and effective ongoing operations in the Dan Beard Council. He leads the talented and dedicated team of 35 professional staff members that oversee the delivery of scouting programs in 12 counties throughout Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky. Prior to being named the Scout Executive, Andy served as a Deputy Scout Executive and Chief Operating Officer of the Greater St. Louis Area Council. Andy has also had past positions with the Dan Beard and Hawkeye Area Councils. Andy is an Eagle Scout, as well as a recipient of the National Distinguished Service Award presented by the National Committee of the Order of the Arrow, Scouting's National Honor Society. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a great welcome to Scout Executive and CEO of the Dan Beard Council, Eagle Scout Andy Zahn.
Well, thank you, JMR, and a special thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today to celebrate the amazing achievements and accomplishments that young men and young women are having every single day in our local scouting program right here in Greater Cincinnati. And I must say, I was sitting backstage listening to Spencer, and my takeaway is I was a very underachieving youth. As JMR mentioned, Dan Beard Council's vision is to develop young adults who are exceptionally prepared to lead in their own way and to make a positive impact in their personal lives, in their professions, and in their communities throughout their entire lifetime. I think you can agree that after hearing from just a few of our scouts today, that we are successfully delivering on this vision, and in fact, grew by nearly 12% in 2022. But the fact is that the need in our Greater Cincinnati region is great. Youth are under such tremendous pressure today to become adults who can improve our communities in the future. Today's kids need to obtain more skills, more education, and more relevant experiences than perhaps ever before. but they also need to develop their own unique talents and, most importantly, to enjoy the journey. The Danbury Council, I'm so proud to state, is answering that challenge every single day in our community. Today, I'm excited to share with you our I Can campaign, a declaration for youth in every neighborhood and in every community that they can live Scout Loud in so many areas of their life. First, Scouts can create. Scouts experience values-based curriculum that inspires their intellectual curiosity. This is done in a very safe environment, surrounded by positive adult role models. In fact, today, Scouting in Greater Cincinnati is led by over 3,400 adult volunteer leaders. Scouts can build. Today, Scouts are earning badges in contemporary career fields, such as entrepreneurship, animation, and computer programming. In fact, our local Scouts last year earned over 10,000 merit badges. An Ohio State University study found that more than 85% of Scouting badges included at least one requirement that met a national science education standards. This is giving youth in Scouting a foundation in everything from nuclear science to robotics. Next, Scouts can grow. For over 110 years, the outdoors has been our classroom, allowing Scouts to stretch past their own comfort zones and overcome fears. Nature is a great equalizer, and there are proven mental health benefits from being in the out of doors. A Stanford University study showed that time in nature was found to have positive effects on mood, on cognitive function, as well as dampening anxiety. Our local Scouting program in Greater Cincinnati owns over 1,200 acres of pristine camp property where adventures in nature happen practically every single day. Scouts can serve. If you are a Scout or a parent of a Scout, the words "to help other people at all times" most certainly resonates with you. Scouting provides incredible opportunities to think and act beyond yourself. We're proud of our recent Scouting for Food drive, which saw thousands of our local Scouts collect over 30,000 meals to those in need in our community this past November. In conjunction with our community partner, the Free Store Food Bank, Scouting for Food is set to return to Greater Cincinnati next spring to collectively help combat the inexcusable hunger crisis in our region. Scouts can lead. The breadth and the quality of foundational training that's tailored through experiential learning opportunities that youth have in Scouting is unparalleled to any other organization. Scouts learn meaningful life lessons to develop and discover their own unique style. It won't surprise you that Scouts are 76% more likely to be leaders when they reach adulthood. Leaders in their companies, leaders in their communities, leaders in their church, the list goes on and on. 76% more likely than those that were not in Scouting. And finally, Scouts can thrive. In a world where some form of failure is inevitable, Scouts are taught resiliency to realize both individual and community achievement. A study by Tufts University found that Scouts are significantly more likely than non-Scouts to embrace positive social values. Values such as cheerfulness, helpfulness, kindness, hopefulness. You've heard it before. Scouts can live Scout Loud. I realize I'm biased standing in front of you today, but I believe that no one does this better than the Danbury Council. No one does better than Scouting to be the #1 youth leadership development organization, certainly in our area, if not the entire world. And when young men and young women embrace the Scout Oath and Scout Law, lives, families, and communities are changed for the good. Imagine, if you will, if everyone had the opportunity to be a scout. Imagine if all of your coworkers or all of your employees had experienced scouting as a youth. How would this impact your company today? How would this impact our community today? This is why we are embarking on an aspirational goal to serve 25,000 Greater Cincinnatians annually by the end of 2025. We believe that more youth and more families that are influenced by scouting, the better leaders they become in the classroom, in the workplace, in our community. Your support today plays such an incredible part in realizing this aspirational goal. Your support helps remove socioeconomic barriers, improve the quality of our programs, create high adventure opportunities, and ensure that every child in Cincinnati can and ideally want to be a scout. Your support today makes it possible that all our local youth can create, can build, can grow, serve, lead, and thrive, and live Scout Loud. How incredible will it be when we sit in this very ballroom in just a few short years and celebrate 25,000 young people living Scout Loud. It starts today, and it starts with each of us. Thank you again so much for being in attendance today and considering an investment in scouting. I look forward to our continued partnership to make Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky a better place. Before I go on, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Eagle Scout and our maestro of ceremonies, John Morris Russell. Please join me in thanking John for his willingness to be a key part of today's program and for all of his support of scouting. Through the support of folks like JMR and like the gentleman I'm about to introduce, the Danbury Council is leading the way in preparing youth to be real difference makers in our communities and our workplaces in the future and to live Scout Loud. Today, we are so honored to honor a great firm and a great individual that embodies the characteristics of being trustworthy leaders that have been loyal volunteers and servant leaders to our community. In fact, our 2023 Good Scout honoree is guided by values that resonate with the values of scouting. Values such as integrity, commitment, accountability, corporate social responsibility, and innovation. If you have spent any time at all in our region's business community, you have certainly heard about the Horan way. The Danbury Council deeply appreciates the relentless dedication to youth development in our region, as well as to the Scouts that Horan and their employees have made over the decades. In fact, it's not coincidental that we are honoring Horan in 2023 to coincide with their 75th anniversary of serving Greater Cincinnati. Please join me in welcoming the recipient of the 2023 Good Scout Award, Mr. Terry Horan of Horan.
Gosh, what an award. I told Bob that I I can do a pretty good act for John Boehner. I can go to tears in about 10 seconds, just like John could. And so if I do that, just bear with me. But I want to thank Bob and the Dan Beard Council Board of Directors, and to Andy Zahn on behalf of myself and all of Horan for this magnificent award. Certainly want to honor all the Scout leaders that are in this room. As Andy said, over 3,500 of you are here, helping form the lives of young individuals in this community. Hats off to you. I read through your program that the Scouts in 2022 donated 165,000 public service hours to our community. I don't know if anybody else did the math, but that's almost 19 years of service to our community donated by the Scouts, the 12,000 Scouts in our community. I think that's pretty impressive. And so thank you, too, to all the Scouts who created the path that we are traveling today. I was one of those Scouts, and as John has already mentioned to you and continues to tell me, I was a second-class Scout. I camped, and I cooked, and I hiked, and I earned a few badges. We were curious, we just weren't all that disciplined. And John and I might talk about that just a little later, we'll see. But I certainly want to honor our Horan group here that's here today. So many of you are Eagle Scouts, so many of you have children who are Eagle Scouts, and so many of you are active in the Dan Beard Council, and I'm greatly honored to be a part of the Team Horan that is so deserving of this award. To my family, Christy was awarded the Mentor Award by son Carrie, who helped and it's well deserved. Christy mentioned to me this morning that during Carrie's project, as many of you know, the tensions can run high, and fortunately he punched a wall in the basement, in the garage, as opposed to punching Christy. But he made it, and he can't be here today. He just came back from Japan last week, and he's with an international engineering company, but this is what Scouting did for our son, Kerry. He also worked for 3 years at Cub World, and I know that that was a wonderful experience for him. He really enjoyed that time together, and Christy and I were in France at one point and met a young Ukrainian woman while in France touring a vineyard. And she said, I have a connection to Cincinnati. I worked for the Boy Scouts in Cincinnati. And I said, well, what did you do? And she said, well, I worked at Cub World. And I said, really? And I said, well, our son Kerry worked there too. And she lights up and she says, are you Flex's parents? He had the nickname Flex. Because not only could he tie a bowline, he could walk through his hands. And the Cub Scouts were very impressed by that. It's much better than a bowline, by the way, John. He went to, as a result of Scouting, he was accepted into the honors program at Georgia Tech. And as I say, he went on to be an engineer. And we're very proud of him and very thankful to Scouting for what it provided for Kerry. At Horan, we talked about our 5 core values, but we also live 27 fundamentals. Each and every week we discuss one of them. And it's interesting this week that the fundamental that we're focused on this week is celebrate success. And so I'm here to help you celebrate the success of the Dan Beard Council. They have a vision that by 2025, the end of 2025, to double the number of Scouts involved in the Dan Beard Council from 12,000 to 25,000. And that's why Christy and I decided this morning to dig a little deeper and give a little bit more so that we can help 25,000 children here in our region learn about nature, learn about the wonderful world around them. Let's get them on the path to discipline and curiosity and adventure, as Carrie told me last night, that gave me a sense of adventure that I didn't know I had in me. And maybe a few will attain Eagle Scout status, but what they will attain, they will develop skills that will last a lifetime. Again, thank you. Horan is very honored, and I appreciate all of you being here today.
Terry Horan, ladies and gentlemen. Bravo.
Now, you know, John, has been said ad nauseum, is an Eagle Scout. He gave that bowline discipline. But he's a Canadian Eagle Scout. And one of the things I asked him as we were preparing for this, I said, did you ever get your music badge? And John, what was your answer?
Duh. That was the first one. It was easy.
Well, John, the years have passed since that happened, and it did happen in Canada. And so on behalf of the Dan Beard Council, I have a certificate for you to acknowledge your achievements in music making and leadership for a support of scouting in Greater Cincinnati area. We are giving to you the Dan Beard Council Music Badge.
Oh, look at that, eh? That's fantastic.
Somewhere there.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Oh, thank you so very, very much.
And,
Thank you.
and don't you think it's well deserved?
That's fantastic. Thank you so very, very much, Terry. Thank you, everyone. That's fantastic. Cheers. This one's very impressive, though, let me tell you. One more great round of applause for the fantastic Horan team. You guys are awesome. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I'd like to recognize a small army of volunteers who spent so much time and hard work to plan and implement today's event. The 2023 Good Scout Award Luncheon Committee. Would our committee members please stand so we can acknowledge your great contribution? Thank you very much. Bravo. It's now my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Jim Davidson, with Speaking of Adventure. As a climber for more than 40 years, Jim has ascended high mountains on 6 continents. He's been on successful expeditions from Argentina to Tibet, from Bolivia to Nepal. Along the way, Jim and his teammates were commended twice by the U.S. National Park Service for volunteering for successful high-altitude rescues. He has shared his adventures on TV with CNN, CBS, ABC, and many, many more. In addition, his survival stories have been made into documentaries for Netflix, National Geographic, Smithsonian Channel, and Discovery Channel's hit show, I Shouldn't Be Alive. Jim is a New York Times bestselling author, and today he'll share adventures and lessons from his latest book, The Next Everest. It was selected as an editor's pick on Amazon and has been published in 6 international editions. Jim was a scout for 3 years in his home state of Massachusetts. He now lives in Colorado with his wife of 33 years. She is a very, very tolerant woman. Ladies and gentlemen, please a great Queen City welcome to Jim Davidson.
trust one another and be trustworthy. And as I've been listening to the prior speakers, I thought to myself, really all those basics are taught in scouting. The character, the integrity, the work hard, all of those kind of things go into being a team, whether it's you're trying to climb a big mountain or do things in the community. Well, I did all those trips, and eventually, in 2015, I decided it was time for me to try and start climbing on the big peak, Mount Everest. So at age 52, I trained really hard, joined a good team that had a long history on Mount Everest, and we went halfway around the world over to Nepal, and we go very slowly, because the higher we go, the thinner the air gets. For reference for you, at 18,000 feet, there's half the density of the air, half as many air molecules with every breath at 18,000 feet, and it goes down as we go up from there. So we have to move very slowly. We eventually get to base camp, and this is the view from base camp. You can't see the summit of Everest. These two peaks that we do see here, they're 23,000-foot bumps. They're the kind of the foreground bumps. Everest is in the back and 1 vertical mile higher. But you also see these jumbled blocks of ice down low. That's the Khumbu Icefall. And if you want to climb Everest from the south side, where most of us do, you have to go through the Khumbu Icefall. And the Khumbu Icefall is a spot where the glacier is flowing downhill so fast that it forms these ice blocks, anywhere from the size of a refrigerator up to the size of this convention center, literally. And these ice blocks are churning and shifting and collapsing. And every day the glacier moves about 3 feet forward. But it doesn't always move at the same rate. Sometimes it just sits there for a week and then suddenly jumps forward 30 feet in 1 instant. And when it does that, all the ice blocks collapse and twist and fall on each other. And between those ice blocks, there's cracks that we call crevasses. We see these crevasses all over the place between the ice blocks. And I got to the base camp and I looked up at the ice fall. I looked at that, my 32 years of climbing experience, and thought to myself, this is without a doubt the dumbest place I've ever gone climbing. I didn't want to go in there. Nobody wants to go in there. But if you want to climb Everest, you have to go through there. And not just once, but many, many times. Because in order to get used to the altitude, we have to go up and down Everest slopes for 5 weeks or 6 weeks to let our body grow enough red blood cells to make it even possible to try for the summit. Nobody on the planet, even the best Olympian, can show up base camp and race to the top. Nobody can. So we started our journey of going up and down the mountain. But of course, this ice fall, watch the 3 climbers in the middle, little black dots, disappear when you see this ice fall. It's very precarious, of course. It's always moving. And one of the things we do to try and help out is we climb at night when it's most cold and hopefully most glued together. So we get up at midnight, we go through the lower slopes, try and get past the most dangerous spots before the sun comes up. And sometimes we can go around these cracks in the ice called crevasses, and sometimes we can't. And when we can't, we bring ladders up, like painting ladders. And I grew up in a family painting for my dad and my uncles. And we had planks go across things. We had ladders to go up. And my dad told me, never drop a ladder and use it as a plank horizontally. It's not designed that way. And that's exactly what we're going to do here on Everest. So here's a little helmet cam of me crossing one of these crevasses. These cracks in the ice can be anywhere from 100 to 200 feet deep on Mount Everest. And this is crossing one of those ladders like my dad told me not to do.
Okay. Steady, slowly. Nice tilt in this ladder. Keep your eyes on the rungs, not on the drop.
Interesting, huh? Now, I know scouting is all about hands-on experience, so I wanted to put some ladders on the roof and go over to the Hyatt and take all you guys up on the roof and go over and give it a shot. But we couldn't quite get full approval, but maybe next year, Well, so those are the kind of things we have to do when we're going through the ice fall over and over again. And certainly there's other challenges too with avalanches and sickness and high altitude and all kinds of setbacks and injuries. So if you're going to try and tackle something big, you have to be summit driven. And in short, what that means is that you're willing to do more and become more. You have to be willing to do and become more than anybody else has ever done before. Maybe more than you've ever even dreamed of before. You're going to have to step up and become something else if you're going to reach that high goal. If you want to try and take a council from 12,000 to 25,000 in a couple of years, you're going to have to do more and you're going to have to become more. And what that means is you're going to have a big vision and you're going to have to take a lot of small, intentional actions. That's how you get up Mount Everest, is small, intentional actions. And that's how you double the size of your impact on the community. It also means you're going to have some perseverance and some resilience, because things can go wrong. And I want to drill down on that a little bit, talk about that resilience. Now, in front of you, under your paperwork, you got a postcard under there. It says resilience on the front. It's a picture of me crossing one of those ladders on Everest. If you want to scribble some notes, here's some things I've learned about resilience after almost 40 years of climbing now. First of all, resilient teamwork. If you want to try and be a good team member and help lift your team members up, there's a couple of things you can do. The first thing is have situational awareness, to look around you and see what's happening. It might be good weather and a good situation. It might be a tough situation. When pandemic hit a couple of years ago, we were all a little stunned, including me. Didn't quite know what that meant. But the people who I saw who adapted to it accepted it early and started adapting, saying, all right, I've got to work from home. Don't know what that means, don't know how long it's going to happen, but I'm going to start working from home, and we're going to figure it out step by step. By having an awareness of what's going on around you and accepting that, you can start doing something about it. If you push back and go, no, I don't want everything to do with this, I wish this would just go away, you can't adapt to it. So try and adapt to the situation as fast as possible. And then the other thing is, in a tough situation or in a difficult situation, I've been on a lot of rescues, been on a lot of tough spots through the years. I'm here to tell you that fear is contagious, but so is confidence. And you want to be the person to start injecting that confidence into the team. That doesn't mean you have all the answers, that it's easy, or that all the problems will go away. But what it means is you inject the confidence into others, and basically what you're doing is you're sparking resilience. Sparking resilience in them, and some of it echoes back and helps your resilience. We take turns lifting each other up. That's what we did to get through the pandemic. That's how teams get up Mount Everest and take on other big challenges as well. And maybe you're a leader now, by title or by experience. Maybe you're going to become a leader in the future. I know that's a lot of what goes on here at Scouting, is nurturing that next generation of leaders. And if you're a resilient leader, you're going to have to do a couple things. You're going to have to be clear and calm and confident when the time comes. Doesn't mean you have to know all the answers. You just have to be willing to step forward and say, you know what? We got a lot of smart people in this community. We can figure this out. You're also going to have to step forward and step up and be visible. Sometimes that means stepping out front when you don't know what the answer is. And also the best leaders I've seen in the mountains are realistic but optimistic. They're not just optimistic alone, saying, oh, everything will be wonderful when things are going bad on Everest. They're realistic. I know you're sick. I know the weather's bad and we're a week behind schedule. But we've got slack in the system. You're going to recover soon. It's inevitable you're going to get better soon. And here's how we're going to move forward from there. And really what those leaders are trying to do is amplify resilience. Wherever somebody's at, maybe they're on the emotional side or wondering or uncertain, or maybe they're ready to go and they don't know what to do yet, the leaders try to amplify the resilience in those people to get them moving. Now, I saw those traits on Everest, and it's a darn good thing I was with people that really had those skills. Because I want to show you a short video now of what happened when we were climbing Mount Everest on April 25th of 2015, because that's the day a major earthquake slammed into the mountain. Biggest earthquake in 81 years at 7.8 magnitude. Now, this is an assemblage of videos. Some of it was shot as we went through the ice fall. We got to Camp 1 at about 20,000 feet, and that's when the earthquake hit. Let's see the video.
Going to Everest is something that I've read about for 40 years, daydreamed about for 30 years.
Focus on the runs, not the drop. Close to 5:20 in the morning. Half the oxygen there is at sea level.
Here comes the powder blast.
Other breaking story, the worst earthquake to hit Nepal in 80 years.
Dozens of climbers are waiting for rescue at Mount Everest Base Camp after a deadly avalanche. 4 Americans are among the 18 people who died in that disaster. It also left more than 100 mountaineers stranded higher up the slopes of Mount Everest.
There was a huge avalanche and a huge powder blast.
Just harrowing. And joining me now on the phone from Everest is mountain climber Jim Davidson, who's stranded on Mount Everest at this point.
There might have been 2 avalanches. Can't tell.
Just a short time ago, I spoke with Jim Davidson. He's a climber from Fort Collins, Colorado. He survived the earthquake and the avalanche.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed for all our compatriots down in the ice fall. And we'll see what happens over the next couple hours.
When the earthquake hit, the ground started to shake. Avalanches ripped down from both sides of our tents. One down a 3,000-foot vertical wall, one down a 6,000-foot vertical wall, and those avalanches came towards us, but they ran out of speed as they got swallowed by all the cracks in the ice, those crevasses. So no one at Camp 1 got hurt or killed. Amazing. No one above us at Camp 2 got hurt or killed. Equally amazing. But then we found out the bad news. Down in base camp, they'd had an avalanche for sure, but our avalanche had been powder, snow, and wind. Their avalanches had rocks, lots and lots of rocks. And those rocks came down 3,000 vertical feet. They hit with so much force that they blasted sideways and ran over 1.25 miles across the flat glacier and went right through the middle third of base camp. Picked up 100 tents, people, barrels full of equipment and duffel bags, and threw it all downwind about 600 yards towards the mountain. And in that instant, 72 people were wounded and 18 people were killed, making it the deadliest day ever on Mount Everest. It was a disaster. Now, this all unfolded slowly. It took days to understand what had happened and what was going to happen. But I was trapped at Camp 1 because we knew our route back through that tenuous, shifting ice fall had probably been wiped out. We double-checked that the next day, and it was true. So we're trapped up there. There's going to be more aftershocks. I knew that because I was a geologist. There's going to be more avalanches. We can't go back down the way we came. We are trapped, marooned at Camp 1. Now, we wanted to get to base camp and help out with the injuries because I'm a trained wilderness first responder and other people were doctors and paramedics, but we couldn't get down there because our route was wiped out. So we were trapped up there for 2 days. The first day they used some helicopters and moved the wounded, all 72 of them, out of base camp. And then the next day when the weather changed, they thought they could come up and get us. There's a lot of details about it. I'm not going to go through them all today because of time. It's all in the book, The Next Everest, out there. You can get it various ways at your favorite bookstore and fill in some of those details for you. But what I want to point out is that we were trapped there for 2 days. Eventually, we got our chance to get on some helicopters and leave. Very orderly process, no pushing or shoving. We took turns among the nationalities and the teams, and we got to base camp. And as soon as I got to base camp, within the hour, I was involved with a team trying to recover some of the bodies and get them back home to their families at various countries around the world. And then we were trapped up on the mountain, base camp rather, trying to figure out how we're going to get home. That's a long story in itself. I have a lot more video footage from this incident, and some of it's appeared in a couple documentaries. That's wind noise from the avalanches at Camp 1, some of my video. If you want to get the update on what happened here, Aftershock is a 3-part series that just came out from Netflix. You'll see my footage and hear my voice in there. I don't appear in that one, but I appear in these other two if you want to follow up on the details of what happened there. But as we were stuck there, I began to notice everybody was kind of traumatized. It was scary. The Nepali people most of all, because they lost their friends and families and neighbors. And when you go through something difficult, it is traumatizing. It's been a difficult last couple of years as well. And we know that what can come with that is post-traumatic stress. It's very real for sure, impacts all of us to varying degrees. But psychiatrists have noticed something else, that a long time after the bad thing happens, something good can happen. PTG, post-traumatic growth, literally growth after trauma. Now, this doesn't come fast and it doesn't come easy. It's not some magic antidote, but what it says is if you go through a tough situation, if you can struggle with the mess long enough, you can find some meaning. You can distill some wisdom, some strength, some purpose, some resilience that you take with you onto the next challenge or the next difficulty. After you go through something tough, you're a little bit hardier than you were before. Think of all the things you've had to do and learn in the last few years. Think about what you know now that you didn't know in 2019. You take that hard-earned wisdom with you to the next challenge ahead, and you can use it to enhance your vision, your purpose, and your resilience, and be even better when the next challenge or the next opportunity comes along. We were in Nepal, and we tried to help out the Nepali people by disassembling some houses, passing the hat to collect some money, and also doing a lot of fundraising when we got back home. And certainly what we found out is that helping out others gives them some hope. That's why we try and help our community, but also put some hope back into you. And also, during difficult situations, hard situations, put some hardiness into you. You're more skilled than you were before the tough thing happened. And so I looked at that and I thought, what should I do with this? Should I give up climbing because it's been scary, or do I go back and try again? And I thought about things that I'd learned by being a young scout, by working for my dad's company, by hanging out with skilled partners. And I decided I wanted to go back to Everest and try again, to help keep my Nepali friends employed and to give it a shot at what I'd always wanted to do. So real quickly, let me tell you what happened when we went back in 2017. I was 2 years older, 54 years now, a little slower perhaps, but I trained even harder. And over the course of preparing for those 2 expeditions, I kept a little log, and over the course of those 2 years, I climbed about 104 or 107 summits that were higher than 7,000 feet. I did about 400,000 vertical feet of up and down with a heavy pack on. That's like climbing Everest 13 times in practice just to try and climb it once. But with that, I went back, and even though I was older, I found myself stronger and more confident than I'd been previous times. Hopefully, I'd learned a little something from the prior experience. We got back to base camp. It was a little scary being there, but the mountain doesn't think in terms of human annual anniversaries and whatnot, so it's not likely to move again. And with that, we started working our way up and down the mountain, up to Camp 1 and back to the base, up to Camp 1 and 2 and back to the base and rest again. Growing more red blood cells, slowly getting faster. Finally, we got to the point when we're ready to move to Camp 3. That's the highest camp we're going to go to for practice. We're just about 200 feet below it. It's pretty cold. It's about -10 Fahrenheit. And as we got within the last 200 feet, getting close to Camp 3, well, this is what we found. That's what we call a tough day on Everest, or also called an average day in Cincinnati in the winter. So you guys would make good climbers. Well, we got past that. We spent one miserable night at Camp 3. We couldn't eat, we couldn't sleep, we couldn't hardly drink water, but our bodies have grown the most red blood cells we can. We go all the way back down to the bottom to rest up. We intended to rest 3 days. Storms came in and we were trapped there for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 9 days, 11 days, waiting for the weather to clear. And we need really good weather because we're going not only back up to where we were before, we're going to go to Camps 1 and 2 and 3 and Camp 4 at 26,000 feet, and then hopefully 3,000 more feet to the summit. And above 26,000 feet, that's what's called the death zone. And we don't call it the death zone for, attractive branding reasons or anything like that. We call it the death zone because up there, everybody will die in just a few days, period. Everybody, no matter how strong you are, because above there, your body doesn't function right. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and move as quick as we can up the lower part of the mountain, and also, even though it's going to be very slow up there, try and get up and down quickly. 97% of the climbers who get to 26,000 feet, including me, need some supplemental oxygen. So we zoom up the lower slopes, and we are 3 times faster than we used to be 5 weeks before. We get back to Camp 3, and this time we feel great. We get up to Camp 4, we're now in the death zone, the clock is ticking. We've only got a few days, no matter what your health status is. So I went on bottled oxygen then. It helps you think better, it keeps your body warm. It makes it a little bit easier, but it effectively only lowers the altitude about 3,000 feet. So it's not like being at sea level, that's for sure. But finally comes our summit night, day 59 of the trip. We're going to get up before the sun goes down and go outside before it even turns dark, climb through the night, and try and summit just around sunrise. Let's take a look at what we saw during the night and as the sun came up very near the summit of Mount Everest. We cleared the south summit of Everest at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and very slowly I saw some blue light, some pink, some orange, and I realized the sun was coming up over the eastern plains of Tibet. We could see the moon and Jupiter out there. We're down to the last 100 feet. And we were trudging slowly, but we summited about 4:19 in the morning on May 21st of 2017, and I got up there with my Sherpa guide, PK Sherpa. We summited, and finally the sun came up. It was about 25 below Fahrenheit. A little sun hit us, it felt glorious, and we're looking down on the 4th and 5th highest peaks in the world far below us. It was certainly an amazing experience. I felt very small and humbled. I didn't feel like I conquered anything. I just felt lucky to be there. More lessons and stories shared in my book, The Next Everest, and my prior book, The Ledge, about adventure, survival, and resilience. And the one thing I learned from this is there's always going to be another challenge, another opportunity ahead, another Everest. And you've got one in front of you. You've got a great opportunity to try and grow this council so you can handle 25,000 young scouts in the year 2025. And if you're going to tackle big opportunities like that, there's a couple things you're going to have to do. You're going to have to try and embrace that challenge, adapt to those changes, and refine yourself into a better version of you, the council and the community into a better version of what it was before. That's what it means to take on a challenge, to succeed, and to live Scout Loud. Stay safe and stay resilient. Thank you. Thanks. fantastic. Thanks. Beautiful.
One more great round of applause for Jim Davidson. Fantastic. So inspiring. Wow. Well, man, I want to get myself a copy of that book, man. That's fantastic. Before we close today's event, we've drawn 3 names from this afternoon's attendees to receive signed copies of Jim's book, The Next Everest. The winners are Brian Riblett. Is Brian out there? Raise your hand. We can get a book to you. Brian Riblett. Mike Habel. Raise your hand. Mike, over there. And Frank Finiello. Frank Finiello. Congratulations. And thank you so much for your contributions to the Dan Beard Council. And thanks again to everyone for coming out and for your great support. To conclude this event, we just got the number, that we have raised today more than $430,000 and counting for today to support local scouting programs at Dan Beard. Congratulations, everyone. And would like to make sure that everyone can bump it up. If you still have a pledge card, we have staff waiting by the doors to collect those as you leave, because we want to make it, we want to top 500K, and we can do it. Thank you all so very, very much. We look forward to coming back again next year for another Good Scout event. And thank you so much for your coming today and for your support. And to remember, everybody, live Scout loud. What's that? Live Scout loud. And be prepared. Thanks, everybody.